Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And as always, here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. What if I told you Joe Biden and Biden Dettelbach could announce a reclassification of Glocks and other semi-automatic firearms, treating them just like machine guns? You're going to want to listen to this. It's very interesting. For several years, the gun control lobbies and allies in office have been making the argument that the federal government, including the federal courts, should treat some or all semi-automatic firearms as machine guns under the theory that federal law already prohibits firearms that are readily convertible to fully automatic fire. Now the city of Chicago are making that argument a centerpiece of its new lawsuit against gunmaker Glock, accusing the company of willfully designing and selling firearms that can be illegally modified through the use of a switch, and demanding the courts block the sales of Glock handguns, not only in Chicago, where there are no gun stores, but throughout the state of Illinois. The lawsuit alleges that Glock unreasonably endangers Chicagoans by manufacturing and selling, in the Chicago civilian market, semi-automatic pistols that can be easily converted to illegal machine guns with an auto-sear, a cheap small device commonly known as a Glock switch. The suit is the first to use Illinois' new Firearm Industry Responsibility Act, passed and signed into law in 2023, to hold gun companies accountable for conduct that endangers the public, according to the mayor's office. The suit was filed Tuesday in Cook County Circuit Court and reports that law enforcement have recovered over 1,100 Glocks converted into machine guns in the last 2 years, in connection with a variety of crimes. The lawsuit alleges that Glock knows it could fix the problem, but refuses to do so, and the city is seeking a court order requiring Glock to ease sales of its easily converted pistols to Chicago civilians. The city also seeks penalties against Glock and damages for the harm that Glock has caused to the city, and that's the real reason they're suing Glock. 2 years ago, Democrats in Congress fired off a letter to ATF officials demanding they do something about the design of Glock pistols, encouraging the agency to reclassify the handguns as machine guns. Have they lost their freaking mind? Many Democrats say it's well within the power of the agency, meaning the ATF, to apply this same strategy to curb the proliferation of modern-day autosears, like Glock switches. But doing so would mean having to regulate dozens of other similarly easy-to-convert handguns. And according to Eric Swallowswell, a Glock is the most popular handgun in the United States. And he thinks the ATF should explore, as they have in the past, using regulatory measures to force companies to change their designs or face stricter classifications if they know that their Glocks can be retrofitted. With autosears that easily, and they're not preventing it with simple design changes, that becomes a product liability. The ATF hasn't acted on the demands yet from Swalwell and his anti-2A buddies, but the announcement of Chicago's lawsuit could be a signal the agency is preparing to move. A lot of people doubt that Mayor Brandon Johnson filed this lawsuit without first talking to his pals in the gun control lobby. And given that gun control groups now have their own office in the White House, it would almost be unthinkable that the suit would be filed without some behind-the-scenes conversations with ATF Director Biden Dettelbach or his top deputies. A lot of people have been concerned about this possibility for a few years now, especially since Joe Biden has previously declared the idea that we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. Biden went even further in his comments in November of 2022, proclaiming that semi-automatic firearms have no socially redeeming value, and neither does he, and maintaining the only reason why they're sold is the profit for the gun manufacturers. Of course, since he doesn't even know what day it is, he wouldn't even think that they're being used for self-defense. That sounds like someone who is all in on the idea of reclassifying some or all semi-automatic firearms as machine guns. And Biden might be very well desperate enough to try to shore up support from his dwindling base by trying to enact a sweeping gun ban via ATF regulation instead of a vote in Congress. It's just not so-called assault weapons that the anti-gunners are trying to ban. If they get their way, the most commonly sold handguns would be illegal to purchase and possess, at least without paying a $200 tax stamp and registering them under the NFA. People think it's more likely that Biden would hold off on the nuclear option until a second term But if the gun control lobby starts pressing him on this, we very well could see Biden and Dettelbach announce a reclassification of Glocks, of other semi-automatic firearms between now and November. And finally, on March 19th, a post on X by someone named John Feinblatt, which I believe he works for Everytown Law, announced Everytown and the city of Chicago a historic lawsuit against Glock to hold them accountable for the unconscionable decision to continue selling its easily modified pistols even though it could fix the problem. Federal officials recently contacted Glock to discuss implementing new ways to modify Glock pistols to make it harder for Glock switches to be installed, rather than help. Glock has falsely insisted there is nothing they can do. Note that Feinblatt said in his post on X about federal officials recently talking to Glock about modifying its pistols. That suggests the ATF is already actively looking into reclassifying at least some semi-automatic handguns as machine guns. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. I think it's a definite possibility they'll try this and not go through Congress and have ATF do the dirty work like they always do. And if they try, they're up for a big fight, not only through the courts, but I guarantee you other ways as well. We cannot allow this to happen, and we won't. As always, I appreciate everybody's support with the channel. And if you enjoyed today's video, please take a couple of seconds of your time and help the channel out and help it to continue to grow by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications and also leaving a comment. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.